Hello friends, welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Today I wanted to share a recipe that I recently just learned. This one is so good, you're definitely going to want to save it for later. The recipe that I'm sharing with you today is super simple. It's something that you can throw together throughout the day on one of these really busy summer days and not really notice whenever it's dinner time. You already have dinner pretty much ready. This is also something that's very versatile. You could definitely make it your own in so many different ways. But this one, like I said, is such a keeper, and I feel like it's perfect for those summer days. If you enjoy learning about more budget-friendly recipes for your family, please hit that like and subscribe button. But anyway, let's jump right into the kitchen and chat about what's for dinner. Like most of us, I am in the kitchen constantly making meals for my family. However, during the summer months, I am in the kitchen a lot less. I really try to be very minimal in the kitchen, and one thing I really lean on is leftovers. Over the years, I've gotten really good at using leftovers in other ways. I prep a lot of food as well, so I usually will have that to fall back on. But this is something that I really utilize during the summer, so I don't have to spend as much time in the kitchen. This is also something that's really beneficial, especially right now. If you're buying groceries, you know exactly how expensive they can be. And for my family of 6, it can just be absolutely outrageous. So this is something that I really get into because of that reason as well. It saves time, it saves money, and I always call it like my chopped kitchen. If you've seen that cooking show where they're given a bunch of different ingredients and they have to make something of it. I feel like I do that a lot. It's kind of keeps things fun and trying to figure out what we're doing and how we're doing it and reinventing things in different ways. But I do that a lot in my kitchen to save money, use what we already have on hand, and just make things more simple for myself. So today, that is exactly what we are going to be doing. When I first saw this recipe, I immediately was like, save. This is something that my kids really, really enjoy, and I know that I will get a lot of use out of. So these are Hawaiian rolls that we're going to be making into Hawaiian buns, and I am going to be serving them on just like chicken sandwiches. I'll make some cucumber salad with some stuff out of the garden. When I first saw this recipe, though, the lady that made it, she did chicken salad sandwiches, which is so great to do during the summertime. It's something that you can easily prep ahead of time if you have any leftover chicken or anything, and then put away in the fridge. However, I am pretty much the only one. I think my oldest, he might like chicken salad, but for the most part, my family is not huge with chicken salad. I really enjoy it, but I'm not going to just make it for myself. So I do have some grilled chicken left over that I prepped at the beginning of the week, and I am going to use the leftovers from that. I'll warm that up, and we're going to have some grilled chicken sandwiches. I'll also make some homemade honey mustard, and it will be seriously so delicious on this hot, hot summer day. If you're curious about this recipe, you can find it down below in the description box. I'll have all of the details down there for you if you're wanting to try it out yourself. Like I usually say, I was a little intimidated with bread when I first started years ago. And so I feel like if you're anything like me, maybe you might feel a little intimidated. This is such an easy recipe. Please do not feel intimidated by it. This is very, very simple. This is a yeast recipe. I'm sure you could use sourdough. However, I have not tried that out yet. But if you are new to bread making, I promise you this is one that you can start with. So far, I have gotten the dough already put together. There is really not too many ingredients, and so I am covering that with saran wrap. I have it in a greased bowl, and I'm going to put it in a warm spot to rise until double in size. My kitchen's pretty warm, so it doesn't really take that long. While that is doubling, I am stepping outside and cleaning up the mess that the squirrels have left for me on the front porch. I'm curious if anyone here has a remedy for the squirrels getting into bird feeders. I have a couple different ones on this front porch area. We have one that is like over the railing that is a hummingbird feeder. And then I don't know if you can really see it, but there is one to the right of my head here hanging. We have one on the window. So we have a couple of different ones. And I thought I strategically put them in places where like the squirrels couldn't reach them. However, they have learned to climb this rock wall and they get to it, they spill it, and I usually have a whole mess here on the patio just like I do now. And it actually has started causing ants, so I try to stay on top of it pretty well, but I don't know how to keep the squirrels out of this area. I have moved it a couple of different times, and each time I think I've got them beat where it's in an area I don't think they can reach it. They surely find a way. So if you have any remedies, please let me know. If you've been on my channel for a little while, or at least since last summer, you may remember or recognize these vines that I have climbing here. So these were the vines that we had on our pergola in the backyard by the pool. These are the ones that have like the purple flowers that are super beautiful. They have these little bean pods that pop up and they're purple. And I saved the seeds from last year and I planted them in these pots. My husband, he just built some trellises out of, I think they were just like scrap wood that we had laying around. And I really like how they turned out in the front here. They are doing so good, and I'm pretty excited that they are doing as well as they are. And speaking of plants doing really well, how are your gardens doing? Let's do a little bit of a garden check-in. I have not done a whole walkthrough this year. I kind of just decided to, I think, not do that, but I'd like to show you guys little tidbits of what is happening. My garden, for the most part, is doing really well. I know that I've heard a lot about bugs in like the tomatoes, and that is the only thing that I am slightly struggling with this year. But for the most part, the garden is doing really well over here. If you can remember last year, I talked a lot about my garden and how I was kind of always afraid to come out here by myself, especially once things got a lot larger, because I am from the Chicago area and snakes are not something that we really had to deal with like ever. I don't honestly ever remember a snake in ever until I moved down here. And we have like poisonous snakes, there's copperheads, stuff like that, and really it doesn't even have to be poisonous. They all scare me. So for years and years since living down here, I am always kind of afraid to come out to the garden by myself because I'm just afraid that I'll run into one. But this year I have spent most of the year coming out here by myself, so I'm actually kind of proud of that. There's been just a couple of times where for whatever reason, I'm like, oh, to my oldest, I'm like, Jackson, can you just come and stand out there with me? So a lot of times he'll come out there and we'll just kind of chat. But this year I've done significantly better with that. And my youngest, Theo, he's gotten really into it. He loves coming out to the garden with me, picking the fresh vegetables. And he was really excited about planting some watermelons this year. So he comes out here all the time to check on his watermelons. Here's our nice little haul from the garden today. I'll have the tomatoes finish ripening in the windowsill. These little orange ones, I did not realize when I bought them. I thought they were just normal, traditional cherry tomatoes, and they turned out to be low acidity ones, which is kind of cool. It's something that I'm not used to, but I was pretty excited when I found that out, and I'm actually really enjoying them. So that is what we have in the garden this year. And now the bread is officially risen, and I'm going to get all the air bubbles out. My son is in the background putting away dishes for me, so you'll see him in and out, but we're going to get these rolls out on a floured surface. I'm going to cut them into, so the original recipe said 15, and how I cut them, and it ended up being 14. Some were a little slightly different size, which is totally fine. I feel like, especially if you have kids kind of ranging in age, it's nice to have a variety of sizes. My younger boys, they don't eat as much as my teens do, so they got, smaller little buns, and my teens got larger ones. So it kind of works out. I'm never really perfect about this kind of stuff. I feel like you don't have to be, but if that's something that bothers you, you definitely can measure a little better than I did, but just know it works out a lot better if you have people ranging in ages. It just kind of works out. Now that I have the dough separated into 14 pieces, I'm going to roll them into little dough balls, and then the seam side I'm also placing down, just FYI, but I'm going to put them into this parchment lined baking sheet. The recipe said to put them 3 in a row, so that is what I'm doing. They do grow quite a bit, so just FYI, they grow a lot. At least they did in my kitchen, and like I said, my kitchen's a little warmer. So we're going to put them in here. We'll put an egg wash on them, and then I'm going to cover them again with plastic wrap. And it said to let them rise for about an hour, which I did, and they grew crazy. I'm going to jump totally ahead of myself right now because I know that it is barely into summertime, but these, I can't help but think these would be perfect for the holidays. So yes, I realize that is so far away, and I'm still grateful that we are in the summer. I am really wanting to hold on to every moment that we possibly can, but my family eats these a lot during like Thanksgiving and Christmas. We get together. We have so many family gatherings during this time, which most people do. And I could not help whenever I was making these to think this would be a perfect recipe for all those family get-togethers. And I have not tested them out in the freezer yet, but I'm assuming that they're going to be great in the freezer. So this is definitely something that I'll test, of course, ahead of time. But I think this is something that I plan on making ahead of time in batches and putting in the freezer. For now, it's perfect for these summer days for sandwiches. If you're going to the beach, you could pack these. My kids actually just liked them with a little smear of butter on them, but they're perfect for sandwiches. Like I said, at the beach, if you're going on vacation, if you're doing anything, just running around with your kids, if you're sitting by the pool, these are a great thing to pack for that easy, quick lunch. But also looking ahead, I think it's going to be great for the colder months too. This egg wash mixture I will have down below in the description along with the rest of the recipe, but it is a little different than the one I usually use. So this one has an egg or two. I think it was just one, but it has eggs, and then instead of water like I usually use, it had 2 tablespoons of milk, and then 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and then I also just put in the tiniest amount of little pineapple pieces that were in the can from the juice that I used in the dough. So I'm going to finish brushing that on, and then I'm going to cover that with saran wrap. I'll put it over to the stove where it can rise double in size for about the next hour, and then I'll take that off and we'll bake them. Here's how they look after they were sitting over here for about an hour. They have doubled in size, taking off the plastic wrap, and then we will throw these into a 350-degree oven. Here is how they look when they come out of the oven, and I am just brushing them with some melted butter. This also helps. It adds like a nice saltiness, at least if you're using salted butter like I am, but it also does help keep them nice and soft. I'll break one open here in just a moment to show you how soft they are on the inside. These reminded me exactly like the ones at the store, so I was really happy I found this recipe. Like I said, my boys, they came in here once they were a little cooled down, and they had just a little bit with some of this butter spread on top. So they really, really like these, and then they're perfect for the sandwiches. You can have just normal turkey sandwiches or chicken salad or whatever you're wanting, but these were so great, and like I said, they remind me so much of the ones at the store. Now that we have the rolls done, I'm going to be starting on some cucumber salad. So this is just cucumbers. I often make this like all summer long with basically everything. So we grow cucumbers in our garden, and we also grow tomatoes. We grow a bunch of herbs, stuff like that. But one thing that my family, towards the end of summer, I think they start getting sick of it, because I'm not even kidding. Like, I serve this at probably every meal, but it is really so simple and so delicious. And it's just something that we have such an abundance of that I'm just always making. So anyway, this is just, I just chop up some cucumbers and I'm putting them in this bowl. I'll dice up some tomatoes from the garden. I'll put those in the bowl, a little bit of salt, and then really like a tablespoon, maybe not even quite that, of mayo. You could also skip that step if you prefer not to add that, but it adds a little bit of creaminess. If you need more liquid, you add in just the smallest dash of milk and then a sprinkle of salt, and that is it. Like I said, I like topping like tacos or burger bowls, pretty much everything. Every meal we have during the summer usually includes this. It's just so simple and easy, and we always have, during the summer months, we always have these ingredients on hand. It's kind of funny because I grew up, and along with my whole family pretty much, we all kind of grew up thinking that we did not like cucumbers. And then I want to say something just randomly hit me, like it's been a while, like 10 years ago, and I tried to start making cucumber dishes in different ways. And ever since then, I realized I don't actually hate cucumbers. I actually really like them. It's interesting because, and I always tell people, because down here I hear it a lot where people seem to think they don't like cucumbers, and I'm like, okay, but just give mine a chance. That's all I ask. Like, just try them. It's interesting because you can make them in so many different ways, and you can think that you don't like them, but they're made such a variety of ways, and I'm constantly trying to make them in a way that other people like them. So this is one of the things. Now my family, they absolutely love cucumbers. They try them in most things, but it's funny because not that long ago, we all thought that we didn't like them. And now I make sure I grow an abundance of them in my garden so we can have them all summer long. And it's just something we always have on hand. And you would never even, if you watch my grocery hauls, you would never know that we used to think we actually didn't like them. Anyway, I am assembling our sandwiches. Like I said, I'm just using some leftover chicken that we had grilled earlier. I have some homemade honey mustard, and this is how dinner turned out. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.